Okay, well, I welcome everybody to this session of the Indiana Homecoming. I'm glad you're all here. And I'm proud to introduce the director of the Robinson Shakespeare Company, Christy Burgess, which is tied to the Robinson Community Learning Center at Notre Dame. Notre Dame Shakespeare Outreach Director of South Bend, Indiana. So without further ado, I'll let her tell you about her program. And please remember that if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box. We will try and get to those questions before the hour is over. So thank you very much. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, Larry.
Sorry, Christy, before you start, everyone, if you would like closed captioning, that service is available on this session. So just click those 3 dots and choose to start the captioning if you'd like. All right, take it away, Christy.
Well, I'm going to share my screen right here. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the session. I know that we're never on another Zoom meeting or panel or session. I'm sure that people will be really happy because face-to-face is great. But unfortunately, in these last few months, it hasn't been possible. And so that's why we have the session, Staying Together Well Apart, Programming in a Pandemic. In this session, we're going to talk about the Robinson Shakespeare Company and what we've been able to do. Sorry, somebody just popped up on my screen. What we've been able to do over the last few months about taking our programs and just doing a complete 180 and pivoting. So I am really excited about this. So a little bit about me. I'm the director of Shakespeare Outreach here at the Robinson Community Learning Center. We are part of the University of Notre Dame. If you've never heard of the Robinson Center, next time you're in South Bend, give me a call and I'll take you for a tour. It's one of my favorite things. We do some amazing programs here, and we joke that our youngest participant is 9 months old and our oldest is 99. Because we have Talk with Your Baby programs that help with brain development. We also have senior programs like Senior Lunch and Learn. We have a senior book club, senior computer classes. I mean, just amazing programs. But where my heart is with the youth programs, and especially with our Shakespeare program. I started the Robinson Shakespeare Company in 2008 when I moved down here from Alaska, and with my amazing partner in greatness, Shauna Lucky, we started it. We started out as a tiny little summer camp, grew into a phenomenal program. You can see, these are some of our kids, our little Wallflowers. This is them doing a tableau for Tang with a Shrew. Junior right there in the front is Catherine, who's looking off in the distance because he has been scorned. One of the things I love about our program is that I've done this for so long. I mean, we've just watched these kids grow up. And like with Junior, I held him when he was a baby, and it's just like amazing to watch him grow. So that's us. What we normally do traditionally in the school year is we have over 400 students that we work with weekly. I love it because these are the same students and it's us, the same people. And so we really get to know the students and like build relationships with them. And sometimes it's really fun is that we'll be able to, or I guess they follow us because we'll teach them in elementary school, but then they'll also go to the junior high school where we are. And I don't care if they fussed when they did drama when they were in elementary school. As soon as they get into junior high and they see us, they're like, Miss Christy. And it's like, they're the best student in our classes. We normally do 17 in-class workshops during the school day. And what we do is with something called drama integration, where we take existing curriculums and we find ways to make it active. It's amazing. If you want to know more, let me know. And I'm so happy to talk about it. We also have 8 after-school drama programs. Oh, and with those, we are able to provide this for free because we write a lot of grants. Some of them, like our wonderful Art Council friends are also fantastic supporters and make this possible. The Robinson Shakespeare Company, we engage youths in 3rd grade through 12th grade. And I think one of the things that makes this unique is that we engage diverse youth long-term. So this isn't, you know, they come in and they stay like 1 or 2 semesters. We have kids who come in and stay from 3rd grade to 12th grade. And then what I also love is the mentorship that is involved with it, because they also will come back as a AmeriCorps, like if they're in college and volunteer. And I think it's a beautiful thing for our younger kids to see our older kids take those leadership roles. And I've got 3rd graders who know when they're in 12th grade, they want to become an AmeriCorps too. Oh, this is Kennedy. This is one of our girls who's been with us since I think she just turned 10, and now she's a sophomore in college, and she's also in her second year of helping at AmeriCorps. So traditionally, the Robinson Shakespeare Company will do 2 full plays a year. We'll also do an abridged play with our 3rd to 6th graders, so a 30-minute version. We have a winter recital, and we also have a 5-week summer drama camp, which I love our summer drama camps. It's just good time spent with the kids. We put on a play, we do yoga in the mornings. It's great. I just want to show you something that we would traditionally do. So this is when we did Much Ado About Nothing. It was so fun. We said it in the 1980s, and I just want to say it worked really well. It was fantastic. And I mean, like, we had this whole Marty McFly thing going. We had like the song Get Physical. It was fun. And I also, just so you have a better idea of what our shows would normally look like, I have what we did, what we're doing, and what we're gonna do. So this is a little minute video to show what our Othello looked like in 2019. So that's what our shows, that's an idea of what they would look like. We also, I think, take a unique approach to engaging the language and the text with kids. And when I say unique, there's some, I know that it looks like crazy things. Like sometimes people get really in their heads about Shakespeare. So I have them do things like run up and down the hallway as fast as they can so they can get out of their heads. Or, this might sound strange, but we will drag people out of the room. And I'll tell you why we do that. Is we have somebody at the front of the classroom, like with their back turned, and the person who's being dragged out has to convince them with their voice and their body that they mean it, that they need to turn around, like with their words and with their monologue. Because sometimes we get so focused on, you know, how we sound, or in our head we're judging ourselves, we forget the objectives. I know it looks crazy, but it totally works. In addition, we have something a little out of the box where I had 2 girls who were practicing for the show that we are planning on in the spring of 2020, Taming of the Shrew, and they kept dropping the end of their lines. They weren't sending that line out. And what that sounds like is a little bit like, but soft, what light through yonder window breaks. It is the east and Juliet the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon. So I gave them Nerf guns and had them shoot each other at the end of their lines. It worked. It's just like a minute long, maybe 30 seconds you can watch. So you can see we take ourselves very seriously, and by that I mean we do not. But then, you know, things started to change. And so one of the first things was, is we have this event called Shakespeare 24, where we read Shakespeare for 24 hours. And it's kind of like you would think a walkathon, where people would pay $1 for every mile you would walk. They would pay $1 for every hour you read. And guys, I don't know why. Kids love it. I have people who like children who are in 3rd to 6th grade or 3rd to 5th grade who beg to come in for the whole 24 hours. Because if you're in 3rd to 5th grade, you can only stay, I think, for 10 hours. But when you're in 6th grade, you can stay all 24 hours. And they do, they love it. And I've had kids in 3rd to 5th grade, like straight up try to hustle and be like, what if my mom stays? And I'm like, I know your mom, she's not gonna want to stay 24 hours. But I mean, there are people who are on this who can attest to the fact that people love it. So the week before school, that Friday and Saturday, we were gonna have Shakespeare 24. And then there was that conversation. Like the week before, I had no idea we would have to cancel it. And I'm like, well, let's look and see what happens. And then, yes, TBD. I laugh because the alternative would be to cry. So yes, we had a postponement, and then we were going to do that on the Friday and Saturday because Friday was an in-service day, and I thought, okay, well, that will give Sunday the kids to sleep, and then that Wednesday school closed. I don't know if you can see the caption. This says, when I was young and foolish. And let me just say, I wrote, now that school is closed for the next 2 weeks, I expect that everyone will be off book for the scenes we've blocked when you come back, like DLP off book. What I mean by DLP, and the kids will be able to tell you, that means you don't change they or an and or a the or switch it. It's DLP, which means it's dead letter perfect. If you need help running your lines or want to work on a scene, please message me and we can FaceTime. I miss you already. Don't forget to be like Lady Macbeth and wash your hands. Miss Christy. Well, you think we all knew what happened or know what happened after this. School shut down and you know, I just didn't know what was going to happen. And it was just becoming clearer and clearer what we would have to do if we wanted to do anything. And I think that there was such a feeling of helplessness with everybody during this time that what are we going to do? And I thought, you know, if we feel helpless as adults, what do kids feel like? Kids who, you know, have no autonomy over what they can do or how they can help. And I don't know what I was doing, but I would watch something where there was some sort of singer who was washing his hands while he was singing one of the songs that he wrote. And so I thought, okay. And I thought, let's have some sort of I was like, let's have a Shakespeare hand washing challenge. And we went back and forth on the names. I wanted to, if it were adults, I would have like a hashtag wash your damn hands, kind of like Lady Macbeth, like out damn spot, out I say. So we went back and forth and we ended up coming up with the hashtag Shakespeare challenge. And I'll show you Christian's full video and then a little snippet where we combined other ones.
Hi, my name is Christy Jackson, and I will be doing a monologue from Julius Caesar, Act 1, Scene 1. Wherefore rejoice, what conquest bring ye home? You blast, you stone, you worse than senseless things. Oh, you hard hearts, you cruel men of Rome, knew you not Pompey? Many a times in all have you climbed up walls and battlements to see great Pompey pass the street of Rome? And do you now put on your best attire? And do you now call out a holiday? And do you now strew flowers in his way? That comes to tramp over Pompey's blood. Be gone. Thank you.
Christian, you'll see him again in a minute. And then here we have some of our current students, some of our past students. You'll be able to see them all.
Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name. Or, thou was not, ye but sworn my father, will no longer be a captive. Oh, broken heaven slave am I. Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, before his soul, so to his own conceit?
I think the thoughts of fellas writing words like the weather clerk still crying into every hymn the able spirit affords us, polished form of glorifying things. Hearing you praise, I say, 'tis so, 'tis true, and to the most afraid that something more.
I am Nicholas, who strange and frown. Some other Mr. not Adriana, nor thy wife. The time was once, when thou on urge wouldest vow, that never words or music to thine ear, that never authors pleasing to thine eye, that never touch will welcome to thine hand, that never meat sweet savor in thy taste.
But when a noble mind is here overthrown, decorders, soldiers, scholars, I, humble sword, the excellency and worth of fair state,
in your unthought of Herod chance to meet. This in the name of God I promise here. If he be pleased, I shall perform. I do beseech your majesty may solve the long-known wounds of my interpreters.
Well, legitimate Edgar, I must have your land. Our fathers led us to bastard Edmund after the legitimate. Fine word, legitimate. Well, my legitimate, if his letter speak my invention drive, Edmund the beast shall pass the legitimate.
Every unworthy thing that live here in heaven may look upon them. But Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lives in carrying on flies and romance. They may seize the way you under from your Juliet's hand.
So those were some of our hand washing videos. And of course, that second one, we edited down. But what that gave the kids the opportunity to do was also challenge other people to be like, and now I challenge you to wash your hands and do a Shakespeare monologue. And with my kids, I tell them everybody, and I believe this, like if you're an actor, like everybody should have a Shakespeare monologue in their back pocket, like ready to go whenever. I know that might sound strange, but like there's been a lot of opportunities for us to do it, which have paid off. Now, we decided at this moment that we were going to transition to do our show on Zoom. I'm a part of the Shakespeare in Prisons network, and there was this whole Shakespeare in Prisons reading, like Shakespeare group where we'd get together once a week and read, even though there are some really interesting moments where you're like, voluminous, thou art muted, because as we know from like all these Zoom meetings and whatnot, oh my gosh, how many times have we said that? We had $1 for each one. We would be able to pay for our post-quarantine vacation. So in looking at doing shows on Zoom, there were some big factors that we had to go into it. One was communication. It was really tricky to get a hold of everybody. The older kids were easier because you could contact them directly. But honestly, I think at some point, people just stopped reading their emails. It just became overwhelming. So we had our make it work moment. I don't know if you guys are big fans of Project Runway or Tim Gunn. I love him, and this is like my mantra over quarantine. The show must go on. So one of the things I did is I absolutely offered to work with the kids and work with them on their lines. And I didn't have them memorize it because I'm dyslexic, and I can't even imagine what it would be like for me to try to memorize my lines without blocking, without knowing where to go on stage. I'd have a really difficult time. So if you do watch either one of the performances, you'll hear like pages turning a little noisily, and I try to get it a little quieter, tell them to be sneaky about it, but that's still snuck in there. We had a great Q&A with 2 of our actors, and I put this whole presentation, should be included on a link in the description if you want to watch the whole thing, but we're just going to watch a minute of that. And let me go through. So here we're going to talk about kind of the approach that we had to take with technology, and then you're going to hear about the green screen. Technology was tricky. Now I've got this fancy computer at my office where I can press a button and it will automatically have this beautiful background. But my laptop at home, our kids' laptops, I think that there were very few who actually had that capability. And don't ask me why right now, in retrospect, I was like, hey guys, let's all have the same background. I think because I wanted to give it some sort of sense of performance. I mean, we had some seniors and I'm like, this is their senior year, this is their senior show. I want it to be special. And so we did. We made it work. If they didn't have any laptops at home, we had laptops here that we could drop off for them that they could use. Now these laptops also didn't have like the automatic, background. And so we were sneaky and we went to Joann's and got these big yards of fabric, of really saturated green fabric. And when I was at my house, I needed a green screen, I would put it on the back of my refrigerator with 2 piggy banks, and that's what anchored it down. And And we drop those off at the kids' houses, and you'll hear a little bit about this. So I'm gonna go to where I want this to go, which is 136.
So before the whole pandemic, we were gonna set it in the 90s, and it's gonna be really, we had this whole plan and we blocked some great scenes. How did you guys feel like your characters changed? I mean, going from like rehearsing in person to then having to do it online.
I felt like there was like different things that happened. Like we couldn't be like more active with each other like how we would have been. Like we didn't even get to do the dance that we spent so much time learning. It's super hard, and like it was like hard because like you were just looking at each other from screen to screen and like not being with each other and doing some things that we thought would really be funny, but like we can't do it anymore because like we're not close to each other. So like I feel like that was very different, but it was kind of fun though.
I agree. Like it was a hard transition. Like personally for Patricio, just because I feel like the character I envisioned, like you just kind of like see who he is based off of like his body language and the way that he like enters a room, and kind of yeah, that had to be taken away because it was online. So it was a challenge to kind of like communicate the like swagger that I wanted to give him without having that like, you know, physical presence.
Now there's so much physicality we just have to let go, and like these little bits that we worked so hard on.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the technology. Can you guys talk a little bit about what we had to do to be creative? Like Christian, can you talk about the green screen?
The green screen, my favorite part. Well, the green screen, but the green screen, we had to like, so we'll have like a green like blanket kind of thing, and like we'll have to put it somewhere behind us so we can like have like a background. So a lot of us, we had to like be creative. We had to like have pins and all that. But for me, I just put it behind my back door. Miss Christy was able to help me out, you know. But it was, for me, I thought it was like, what am I going to do with it, you know? That was hard.
Do you remember what happened when it first got dropped off? Do you remember what you yelled for your mom?
I yelled at like some pins and a hammer.
Yeah, they like recreate the scene. Okay, so me, Christian, do you need to hang it? This is Christian. I'm not even kidding. Mom! I need a hammer and some nails. So of course, like 10 seconds later, Stella opens up the door and she's like, what? And I'm like, no. I'm like, hang it in your doorway. Like, hang it in your doorway. And she shuts the door. Oh my God, I can only imagine you like pounding into your wall and be like, your mom being like, what? And you're just like, Christy told me
to. Yes, I'm not going to be responsible for like hammering into walls. I'm so glad I was there when it was dropped off. So yeah, I want to show just two little clips of the Shrew Zoom of the older kids that we did. I think the first one worked. I think the second one I probably should have let go but didn't. But I think that these are also very good learning experiences. So let me make sure I'm going to where I need to go. Let's go to 13. So one thing I didn't figure out on this is how to make it perfect. But here, let's try this.
And unsuspecting courter by herself.
Oh, very well, I approve of those. Hark you, sir, I'll see them very fairly bound. All books of laws see that in any hand, and see you read no other lectures to her.
Whatever I read to her, I'll play for you. Yeah, I'm perhaps with more success than you, unless you were a scholar, sir.
Oh, just learning. What a thing it is.
So right there, you can see a little bit about how they're interacting, what we're trying to do. And you can tell Forrest's internet was really fuzzy. The technology was, sometimes it was really frustrating. And how we would do this, our approach would be we would have different days where we're like, okay, we're gonna do this act. And we would read through the scene once, I would give them notes, and then we would try to record it. And there were times where people just freeze up. And I'd get really close, I'd be watching and be like, does Noelle have no expression or is she frozen? I'm like, okay, guys, we lost Noelle. Gotta do it again. This scene, so since it was set in the 90s, I don't know if there's any 90s SNL fans. Do you guys remember Night at the Roxbury? You know, like the brothers who do this. I had this whole bit and I'm like, we can do it on Zoom. I don't know if it quite worked out. My idea was that they were going to go over to Baptista and be doing the dancing. Unfortunately, Avon's parents kind of blended into the background. So let's take a look and see if we can. God bless them. Let's see if we can find it. Also, you can totally see Christian's walls of what we were talking about.
But a apple, I am old and I am young.
And may not young men die as well as old?
Well, gentlemen, I am Dr. Gold. On Sunday next, you know, my daughter Catherine is to be married. Now, on this coming following, Dr. Yonka will be a bride to you, and you make her this assurance. And not in your rear. And you, I take my leave, and thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Adieu, good neighbor. Now, I fear thee not. Sir, a young gamester, your
So you get the point. Again, going back, I don't know if I would have done it, but I was like not willing to let it go. Funny story about Clara's mom. I guess she really started like getting the head movement. And so I guess she and her little sister just kept playing that song. And finally her mom, who was like one of the sweetest people in the world, came in. She's like, okay, enough. We have to take a break. No more of that for the weekend. One of the things that I think was also tricky is that the kids weren't used to seeing themselves online. And during one of our first read-throughs, it was rough. It was really rough. And I was like, so I had a conversation at the end. I'm like, hey guys, so which genre of play are we in here? And the kids are like, it's a comedy. I'm like, it's a comedy, you're right. So why does it look like everybody's like, why does it look like we're watching the last part of The Passion of the Christ? I mean, and they laughed because, guys, it was true. Those first rehearsals are like, yes, I'm Catherine. I think it was just so different for them to see themselves. It was hard. Our younger ones, this was tricky for a few different reasons. One, the older kids were easier to reach because you could contact them directly, like they all have phones. The younger kids, you know, I think they had like more fun making it because they're like, we're here for anything. And I'm really glad we did it with them. And instead of trying to have the backgrounds, because that was tough, to be like, hey guys, okay, you need to have this background for scene 2, 3. And they're like, what? Background? I'm like, yeah, it's in the Google Drive that we shared. And I'm like, how everybody else has the background. You want to like maybe check it out? Conversation we had more than once. But with the younger kids, what we did instead, because we had a bigger group, we double cast it. And in order to avoid confusion, we made t-shirts with their names on it. One, because the kids love it. Last year I was sent a picture, it was so cute. I guess 2 of our Shakespeareans went to somebody's birthday party and took a picture together, and they both wore the shirts from the show. So it was Desdemona and Iago. It was adorable. So these were our kids. And let me just show you, what do we want to show this? Let me show you a little bit of it. Let's go to 150. Okay, I just have to say something about Junior. He, like, you'll see him to the right, hysterical, his old man voice, love it.
Right? Nay, so to get a husband for a sister. A husband? A devil. I say a husband. I say devil. Thinkest thou rich and pure? No, our father be very rich, and he is a very fool to be married to hell.
Trunio, I burn, I pine, I perish. Trunio, if I achieve not this young modest girl. If you love the maid, then thoughts and wits to achieve her. I have it, Trunio. Then both our inventions meet and jump in one. Tell me thine first. You will be a schoolmaster and undertake the teaching of the maid. That's your device. It is, may it be done. Not possible! Who shall bear your part in being Padua here Vincentio's son? Basta, thou shalt be master, Trunio my steed, uncase thee, take my colored hat and cloak.
Trudel, be so because Cynthia loves, and let me be a slave and achieve that maid.
Those guys. So now we go into our summer camp. So I want to tell a quick story. Well, I'll get back to her. So here we have our Shakespeare summer camp, and I was really nervous about this. My husband, who is the love of my life, hi sweetheart, is immune compromised, and I did not want to do anything that would put him at risk. And so I was really nervous about this whole idea of having in-person classes. So we tried to come up with something that we thought would work. And how we did that is we had 2 classes online on Monday and Wednesday. And then on Friday, we'd meet in person in small groups, no more than 3. And we looked at like, okay, what can we do online? And so we had TikTok Shakespeare. Now, I've had my students try to explain TikTok many times. I don't get it. I want to understand, but we still, we'll show you that in a minute, have, I think, the first Shakespeare TikTok dance. And then we had adventures in improv. Yes, you can do improv on Zoom. And then we had the technical theater toolkit where kids can learn about how different technical aspects can influence a scene. And then we had create your own Shake scene. So the kids could come together and create a Shakespeare scene, whether it's a straight scene where they take it directly from the text, or they can do some sort of mashup. I do have a student whose name is Toby who said it was the best hour of his life. This is a flyer that we sent out to parents. And then I want to talk about McKinley right here. So we had, she was in a group of 2 and her teaching partner or her learning partner did not show up. Pardon me. And so instead of having our, instead of having like 3 teachers teach her, I had her direct them. And it was adorable. One thing I loved is that you can absolutely tell like the sense of mastery that she has. She picked all the costumes, she picked the lights, she picked the props, and she directed them. And one of the things I love about this picture is she had them read, and then at the end she was like, would anyone else like to read a part? I mean, the sense of mastery that she has. She started Shakespeare when she was in 3rd grade, and now she's in 7th grade. Man, it just like, it honestly made my summer. I mean, look at these guys. And I love the fact that the first scene ever directed in our brand new Black Box Theater was by 11-year-old McKinley Lewis. Okay, Shakespeare TikTok. Are you guys ready? I know you've been waiting for this. So this is Shakespeare TikTok, and it's done to Sonnet 119, which was recorded by Joshua Crudup, one of our AmeriCorps and former students, and choreographed by Ellie Graff, again, one of our former students and AmeriCorps. Yes, I did not know how that was going to work, and it worked. Now we come to our school year. So we are so lucky that we have this brand new building that we moved into in June, and it's absolutely bittersweet because we have this amazing building, but we cannot be at full capacity at the moment, which is completely understandable. So I don't know if you can see in this picture, but it's actually marked out into 6-foot grids with a sticker in the middle. And I mean, there's only a few times I have to say during class, like, okay, everybody get back on your stickers. And I thought, how are we supposed to teach like this? But I think that we found ways to make it work. And one thing I did the first day we had class back here, because we have smaller groups now, is I said, okay, guys, I said, this is a moment in our lives that we're never going to experience again, hopefully. But this is going to take some out of the box thinking. What do you think? I'm like, come up with an idea that I haven't thought about, that nobody's thought about before. What can we do? And we have this new camera equipment. And so what we're doing is we're doing a combination of scenes. The older group wants to do The Office, if there's any Office fans out there. They're going to do an Office Christmas party where all the best villains in Shakespeare get together for a white elephant gift exchange, and hilarity, mayhem, and bloodshed ensues. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a green screen for that, film them separately, and then put that all back together. I'm really lucky that I have a great AmeriCorps team who is way more technologically savvy than I am. The younger kids are going to do very similar things. These are scenes that have come up from them. We split the younger group. Normally it's 3rd to 6th grade, but now we have 3rd to 4th grade, and then 5th and 6th grade. So I don't know why younger kids just love death and bloodshed and mayhem. I'm not sick. I just have a really dry throat. I should be drinking more water. But our younger group, where they all want to be murderers and die. So we're going to come up with some of Shakespeare's death scenes and create a scene around that. Our second group want to have have somebody flipping the channels where there will be Dr. Phil staging intervention with Hamlet and his family. I think there will be a Maury Povich section where they find out that Catherine is not Baptista's daughter. Any Shrew fans out there? Guys, that's amazing. That did not come from me. That came from the kids. We're talking about 5th and 6th graders. They're awesome. And so we're going to film these and then put them together. And something that we do, we have a 40-page COVID plan here. Everybody who walks in the building gets their temperature checked. And for the kids, what we do is when their parents drop them off, we don't let them get out of the car without first taking their temperature and then going through a health questionnaire. Each room is disinfected after each group with the appropriate amount of time for the disinfectant to work. So that's about 10 minutes with the one that we have. Everything is cleaned. Every chair that is used, all the door handles. I spray the floor because we sit on the floor. We want to keep our babies and our participants safe as much as we can. And guys, we're making it work. We're doing it. And I think that the kids are really happy to be back. And honestly, I'm really happy to have them back too. And it's so hard because again, you see these kids that you watch grow up, and the kids have come up with something where they're like, Miss Christy hug, and they'll hug themselves and I'll hug myself. And we're like, because they're awesome. I mean, I say that, but it's really true. And I do invite everybody who is on here, come and visit, and you will absolutely see that. Now, this is our Friday class. They wanted me to film it so they could show their moms. This is something that we do. I learned this from the Royal Shakespeare Company, where you put a gesture with each word, and it's great. It helps stimulate the same place, like sign language and verbal language stimulate the same place in the brain. This is one class. So they learned this in one class and they came up with it. And I asked them, I'm like, who's gonna be the creepiest witches? And they all raised their hands. I love those guys. And so one of the other things we talked about when the kids were coming up with ideas is they came up with the idea to have posters with Shakespeare characters on it. And we have, this is our one that I made, and I'll make more. But I love that, to be like, you guys need to mask up, but doing it in a Shakespeare way. So we have a friendly reminder from the Robinson Shakespeare Company to mask or not to mask, that's not a question. And if anyone has any questions or wants some advice or about programming or whatnot, I put my information on here. Feel free to contact me. I am here for you. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can all have a chat, because I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have. And I also want to hear from you to hear about what you guys are doing. Hey, Larry and your awesome grandchildren. So Bridget, are there any questions in the chat that I missed?
No questions have come up yet in the chat, just a lot of pats on the back, Christy.
Aww.
People are so impressed with what you've done. Fantastic. I added insert RuPaul music here. You better work.
Love RuPaul.
But I have a question to get us started. So obviously, like you said, it's difficult enough, the pandemic, dealing with as adults, right? And so having children deal with that is something, is just another layer to that. So as someone who works with children often, have you seen a difference in them through working in Shakespeare? We know arts have incredible benefits for people in their lives. What kind of ways have you heard them say, or maybe their caregivers say, that continue to participate with the Robinson Shakespeare Company has helped them?
Oh, are you talking about like during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so much. Like again, I look at like what Toby said, where he was like, this is the best hour of my life, where, you know, because you don't, when you're in the middle of it, you don't think about how much it might impact them or how much they need that connection, but they really do. And just hearing from the parents that they're waiting for that moment, they're waiting to like be on stage or to perform or to have that outlet, you know, the feedback was really strong.
Great. We do have a question here from Summer. She says, thank you for sharing your story. When you were doing the online activities, were you finding any Zoom fatigue with the young actors? How did you combat that?
I think that when we were doing the summer camp, well, we were really intentional about having it short. You know, having it short and changing tactics if something wasn't working. Like I always tell my teachers, have a plan B. So go in with a plan, but if that's not working, do something else. Maybe that just means that they need to have a conversation. Maybe they just need to talk and like connect with somebody else. But I think what really honestly helped was scaffolding that information over the summer, of having that first class, that second class, and then knowing, okay, we're going to be in person. I think that helped them. But man, like guys, Zoom fatigue is real. Like that whole thing, like I hope nobody has like really high def, like, or big screens, because you're going to see more gray hairs from Zoom.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I totally feel that for sure.
But we only had an hour, which was helpful, like no longer, like 45 minutes to an hour. And I told them, if you feel it end early, like end it early. Don't just try to go to the full hour, because that's what we said we're going to do.
That's great advice. What other tips and tricks would you give to folks who are maybe not coming back in person yet and are still doing solely online?
Ask the kids. I mean, I think that we have ideas, but they can think of things that we never thought of before. I mean, Shakespeare Tik-Tok, like what? But that's something where they can help you come up with ideas that are interesting to them. And I think that really using that, like their wonderful brains, I think is a really great resource that sometimes as educators we forget.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Lacey has said that she noticed with her own child that the interactive portions really combat that Zoom fatigue, especially if it's of interest for them, which clearly by all the smiles, people were commenting in the comment section, look at all those smiles from the kids. And of course from yourself, obviously you love what you do, but the kids really enjoy it. And that's clear to see.
And I think what also helps is having it have small groups. Like when we're only doing small groups, because over the summer we just had 2 to 3 people, that made a big difference, because then it felt personal. Because I think sometimes Zoom can feel so impersonal, you know, and you're like, okay, yes, I have like a business top up here and pajamas on the bottom, you know, which I don't right now. I'm fully dressed for my office. But that idea that you have those small groups that you really bond with over the week.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Christy, you mentioned that folks are free to contact you if they'd like with questions, and also send Christy some love. Christy is just a fabulous arts educator in our state. We're so lucky to have her, and I'm so thankful that she chose to spend her time with us this afternoon. I hope that everyone enjoyed the Indiana Arts Homecoming. Christy, before we officially close, where can we find Robinson Community Learning Center online and support the work that you do?
Oh, thank you so much. And Bridget, thank you so much for your really lovely words. You can find us at, on our website at rclc.nd.edu. You can also find us on Facebook, which is just search for the Robinson Shakespeare Company and we will pop up. And Instagram, I probably should be better about posting things there, but yes, more on Facebook.
Awesome. And still on TikTok? Are we still dipping our toes in TikTok?
I actually never really signed up for TikTok, but we had a TikTok style Shakespeare dance, which again, I think is probably the first, and the kids loved it.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. So again, I hope everyone enjoyed all of the sessions this year. We look forward to seeing you all in person again next year, knock on wood, fingers crossed, I hope. We just sent out a survey to everyone, just to check in. It's super short, see how you're doing, see how you enjoyed this online format and ways that we can improve moving forward, because I think we're going to be in this for a little while longer yet. So we want to make sure we're delivering the best content possible for you. And I know Christy definitely delivers. So let the Arts Commission know how we can help with format wise. All right, everyone, I'm going to go ahead and end this session. Thank you again for joining us, and be sure to check your email for that survey so you can help us make it even better.
Thank you so much.
Bye.